You know, it's like to link back to a question that I wanted to ask you, which we were talking about yesterday, that I've been thinking about lately. We'll probably end on this one. Do you think do people love you for what you do, or do people love you for who you are?
That's a deep one still, but like, no, you got a good question. I feel like people love you for what you do, definitely. And the reason why I say that is because in any sort of relationship you have, even with like your family, it's like there's still some sort of expectation that comes to you, whether it be like bringing on like some sort of providing role or
Mm,
like some sort of like, I guess like not necessarily pride, but how you present yourself as it, because it's like you hold your name. So it's definitely what you kind of like give out. Nobody gets anything for free. So, and I feel like especially in this world where it's like you have to work for something, it's like in every single relationship you have, there's going to be some sort of give take relationship. And it's just, it goes back to what you're saying, especially like when you said in London, it's like, oh yeah, you find it difficult. But that's just genuinely the mindset of how humanity works. Nobody
mm,
get, I mean, probably the only people who get things for free is like maybe royalty. And even that, it's like
mm.
there's still some sort of expectation that comes from them, like running the world and all of these things. So,
See, like I kind of agree with what you're saying. But I want to think about this for a second too, because if you think about it, then because I know I've mentioned too, because I was discussing this with a girl, and then she was like, "Well, if you are what you do, then of course they love you for who you are. Like if you are if there's no difference between your actions and who you are, then of course they're gonna love you for who you are. Obviously, you are right. There is a reciprocal relationship we have with everyone. So if you do something for them, they're gonna do something for you back. Maybe it's not immediately, maybe it's not transactional. But of course, they're not gonna. If you're a stranger, they'll treat you differently than if you were their son. You know, of course, they feel that kind of relationship with you. But I often think about this idea because I think especially for people who do stuff, I've kind of felt this too myself. It's like when people give me praise, I think, well, are you praising me or are you praising the things that I do? Like, are you like, you know what I mean? Like, if they
no,
go, oh,
yeah.
bro, you got a banging comic, bro. You're so sick. You did it. It's like, well, cool. Like, but is it me that you're saying is got a banging comic, or are you saying, oh, the comic is good? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
No, I get what you're saying, and it's like in that aspect, it is they're basically saying the comic is good, and the reason why I'm saying that is because you got to look at it like this: it's like you are who you're your own person. You're always gonna have flaws, and you're also gonna have good traits, but
Hmm.
it just depends on how you carry out your actions, which will then obviously depend on how people reciprocate it. Which is why I'm saying it's like people love you for what you do. So yeah, the girl's right in saying that, oh yeah, what you do, people will love you for what you do. But it's like you gotta see it like this: what you do is at the end of the day is overall an action, and that action will be
Mm.
then taken in, and depending on how you carry out that action, whether it's a good action, people appreciate it. Just like if you do a good comment, if you do something bad, um people are not going to appreciate it. And obviously that's where the irony comes in. You know what I'm
Mm.
trying to
I
say?
get exactly what you're trying to say. I
So
think, but the next step then, yeah, the deeper question is that do you love yourself for what you do or for who you are?
do I love myself for what I do or for what
That's the question I was asking myself.
oh no, I see what you're saying.
And that shit, that's deep as fuck.
I feel like everyone, nah, that's a good question, but I feel like it would definitely vary at different ages and different people, and it depends on where you are at your mindset. I feel like at this moment in time, I love myself for who I am,
Mm.
but for what I'm doing, nah, I'm not happy with what I'm at. But
Mm.
it's like at the same time, it's like it's just more of the fact that it's like I have the decision to obviously take myself out of it, which is why I'm saying I love myself for it, because it's like I know I can see that perspective. Some people may be in the same position as me, but if they're not able to see it like that, then they can now say like, oh, I don't love myself. So
Mm.
it's all a mindset thing. If you can set your mindset into the right place, then you'll be on the right track. There'll still be difficulties, but you just have to overcome it and handle it in this right sensible way.
I completely agree with you, and I
So
think that's probably the best way I would put it. I don't think there is an answer to that question. I think it's an evolving question. I think you're right.
mm.
I think for someone like me, I
Oh
obviously
yeah.
I love me for who I am, but I'm also getting to a point where I really enjoy the things that I do. I really enjoy the things that I do, and I think that's an important part of who I am. The things that I do, because it proves to me that it proves to me that I'm able to do things, do hard things, and accomplish it, and do complicated things, and actually achieve my goals and achieve my dreams. And that is a big aspect of who I want to be and who I am. So that it does kind of feed into each other. I think learning that as I go older and older and being like, okay, there doesn't need to be a separation with that idea of like, okay, there's one or the other. It's trying to mix the two, balance the two, so you get to a stage where there isn't, you don't feel like you need anything from anyone else. You don't feel like you need praise or you need validation from anyone else. Yeah. You're just good as you are. I mean, I think that's something that as creatives, as entrepreneurs, as just guys in this generation, we have to all figure out. I think that I'm so happy that you are one of the few people that I know that can have that perspective that you just spoke about, be able to figure that out and, balancing that. You're thinking deeply about stuff, but you don't need to get too caught up in the deep stuff. You're just like, yeah, it's cool, whatever, but, I'm still going to do the work, and I think that's a good balance to have, Yeah,
100%. And, likewise, man. But I feel like that's why we're obviously able to, work together and obviously do things like this. But no, I'm really, really blessed, and I appreciate for that I'm on this thing, man.
I appreciate it, man. Like, now we're looking at the time because we were supposed to be here for an hour, and the time is bouncing, going really forward. But I didn't want to close out with going back to Jagabon Boy, because I know we kind of sped through that. But just to finish out, what are some of the... Because I wanted to ask you about Zeke's character and how you came up with that character, because I think it's such a unique character that I think when people read it and read his progression, I know you've told me more than I've read, but from what I've read, when people read his progression, they'll be able to learn so much about how to conduct themselves in the world that we live in. And I think it's such a good way to present a character. It's like when Eren was, first put out. And people were like, oh, Eren is just brat as a beginning, but he's not a brat. He becomes this deep character who has morals and weird morality, and he kind of puts his friends above everyone else, and you see him kind of go through that journey. I think Zeke has that kind of potential. Yeah. So I wanted to just close this and talk to me a little bit about the idea for him and what he represents to you and what you think people can learn from his character.
Well,